This is The End Zone, sponsored by Noble McIntyre Law.
Welcome to another edition of The End Zone, along with Camryn Johnson. I am Colby Daniels. Hope everybody is enjoying the winter wonderland that is going on this weekend. Stay safe, be weather aware, but there's also the opportunity to maybe enjoy some of the snow and maybe snowball fights or snowmen or sledding. Mm-hmm. The stuff that we don't get to do that often here. Because I feel like we either get just really bad ice or freezing cold temperatures, but to just get a good snowfall where you can go outside and play with the kids, I'm all in on that.
I feel like I'm in the minority these days, but I love winter weather. When it's supposed to be cold, I do enjoy it. When Christmas is in the 70s, everyone's like, oh, what beautiful weather. I'm like, Christmas needs to have snow. Christmas needs snow. So if we get the enjoyable part of it,
there you go.
I like that stuff.
There you go. I will give you Christmas Day. If we could have 70s all the way up to the 24th, and then on the 25th we get some snow, and then it evaporates overnight. The 26th, we're back to 70s. I could sign up for that. Otherwise, I don't want any part of it.
If it goes away completely that too. No one likes the slush.
Exactly. One day of solid snow on Christmas Day, and then let's go back to nice weather like we had this year. But winter wonderland outside, and it's a good opportunity to park it on the couch and consume all of the sports that you possibly can, which is what my plans are for the rest of the weekend. Let's talk some Oklahoma City Thunder. This team, there's so many storylines on a nightly basis from this team about how good they are, or the injuries, or the trade deadline coming up. Can you trade this guy? What do they need to improve? I've never seen maybe a bigger overreaction to a short slump early in an 82-game regular season than we saw just about a month ago. But now we have to really consider Jalen Williams and his hamstring strain and what that timeline might look like. I mean, the Thunder said they're going to reevaluate him in 2 weeks. A grade 1 is typically about 2 weeks. Grade 3 could be 3 months or longer. We don't know the severity of the hamstring. I think you probably play it safe and maybe hold him out through the All-Star break. But look, Jalen Williams is a big-time player in this league. He had a big-time run in the postseason last year and was a big part of the Thunder's NBA championship. But very unfortunate for a guy that missed the first 19 games of this season to get back and to kind of try to fit in with a team that was already rolling and trying to get healthy at the same time. To go through this again, it's very unfortunate. And simultaneously, it's pretty crazy that a player of that caliber is missing, and the Thunder are 20-1 overall in games that he doesn't play in.
That's such a crazy stat to me too, because it's not like it's hard to tell where the whole correlation causation thing, because it's not like he was playing poor basketball. I mean, he still was trying to get that groove in there. So it's like, how much of that really, it's such an interesting mix. But 20-1 without him, it really. It brings up an interesting conversation for sure. But again, still a great basketball player.
Well, let's not forget. I mean, they were 18-1 when he came back, and they won 6 in a row after he came back before the team kind of went into a slump. I don't think Jalen Williams being back was the reason the team went into a slump, or that would have happened as soon as he got back in the lineup. They won 6 more games when he originally came back. So I think it was somewhat of a coincidence that, shortly after he came back, the team hit a slump. It's also not a coincidence that their schedule got much tougher in that stretch than it was before. But, unfortunately for him, I think a lot of people kind of correlate his absence to Thunder success now, and are maybe making big proclamations like the Thunder could trade Jalen Williams before the deadline. And I would just say, from my perspective, that would be a gigantic mistake.
Yeah, I feel like, to your point that you brought up earlier, Thunder fans just go from here to here really fast. And maybe not Thunder fans specifically, but a lot of people. I mean, there's just been a lot of things that are drawing some very over-the-top conclusions in the short term, at least. But, I mean, again, I think in my eyes, it is coincidence, the way the records have worked out. But unfortunate overall for Jalen Williams.
And let's not forget, he was such a critical piece of winning the championship. He had that incredible performance in, Game 5, I think, of the NBA Finals. To evaluate his future with the Thunder on a month stretch through like December and January before we've even reached the All-Star break of a season. Coming off an injury to me is just such a wild overreaction.
Yeah.
Relax. I think J-Dub is going to be just fine, and hopefully he's able to recover from the hamstring. Somebody that is more than just fine is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was voted into his third consecutive starting position in the NBA All-Star game, although like the All-Star format is weird. The voting doesn't really make sense with what the new format is. We can get into that in a little bit. But when you consider what the Thunder have been through this season with all the injuries, we just talked about J-Dub. I mean, Isaiah Hartenstein has been out. Alex Caruso has missed time. The other Jalen Williams is hurt. We saw AJ Mitchell go down with an injury the other night. I mean, Shai has been the constant and is playing, I mean, as good a basketball as you could possibly imagine. 32 points. What are the numbers? 6 assists, 4 rebounds. And it's efficient, right? 55% from the floor, 40% from 3, 89% from the free throw line. Like, he had one of the greatest seasons for a guard in NBA history last year and is potentially on pace to outdo himself.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. It's hard to think you get that award and then come back and just do what he's been doing. Mark Daigneault said after the Milwaukee win, what he's doing is not normal.
Yeah.
It's not normal. And, I mean, 40 points in the last game, what was it, 16 of 19, incredibly efficient just everywhere. It's to have someone like that. I mean, I think he is the backbone of the team, and especially throughout the injuries and your different rotation pairings, he's just been constant throughout it all.
He has not wavered no matter what the situation has been, no matter what 4 guys he's sharing the floor with. He is just so steady, and I mean, it's been remarkable to watch him early in this season. Speaking of the All-Star game, new format. We have to get some All-Star reserves for this new format. 3 teams. There's going to be a world team and then 2 U.S. teams made up of 8 players on each team. The question has been, will Chet Holmgren be an NBA All-Star this year as the second best player on the Thunder this season, at least with all of J-Dub's injuries? I think he's a virtual lock. I mean, I would be beyond shocked if Chet Holmgren was not an NBA All-Star.
I would agree with you there. I mean, he's on pace to be the defensive MVP. He's, like you said, the excuse me, second best player on the best team in the NBA. I think the only thing that may not make him a lock is that there's other players who were All-Stars last year and are doing even better. But I think I would be shocked if he's not on there. So it's nothing that that he needs to do better. It's just, I mean, there's a lot of good players out there, but I think absolutely deserving of that.
Well, the reason I say he's a lock is because you have a world team made up of 8 players, and then you have 2 U.S. teams made up of 8 players. The world team is already loaded with the majority of the best bigs in the NBA.
Yeah, good point.
Giannis, Wemby, Jokic, Sengun. The 2 American squads are going to need some big guys to run, and you have maybe Evan Mobley, Bam Adebayo, Jalen Duren, who are all, I think, all-star caliber players, but none of those guys are also on the best team in the NBA.
Right.
So I think you could take all 4 of those guys and put 2 bigs on each, and you still might have a size problem against the world team. So I think that's what really makes him a lock. But I've really enjoyed watching his aggressiveness go up the last couple of games, especially without J-Dub in the lineup. He's taken more on his shoulders, and I think when he reaches that level of aggressiveness, kind of what we've seen from Wemby, I mean, the sky's the limit for what Chet can ultimately accomplish. All right, we've got to take a timeout. We've got to talk some college football because Indiana won the national championship. How much does that change the landscape of college football? Is a new era upon us? Next. All right, welcome back to the show. We've got to talk some college football. I mean, it is the end zone. Along with Camryn Johnson, I'm Colby Daniels. I know the college football season for many in the state of Oklahoma has been over for a while. If you're a fan of Oklahoma State, it's been over for a long, long time. If you're a fan of the Sooners, it's been about a month since your season ended. But the college football season officially came to an end. Indiana beating Miami in the national championship game. And, I think it's a tremendous story. Obviously, it's like a Disney movie, right, with what Curt Cignetti inherited and turned it into in 2 short seasons. It's remarkable. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I think there is a giant opportunity here for the landscape of college football to shift in a big way. Ultimately, with Indiana winning, what does this do for the sport?
I think it shows that there is a way to balance this new era of transfer portal, NIL, and also combine it with your old school fundamentals. I think, obviously, we've seen the transfer portal era and NIL hurt some coaches, and legendary coaches at that. But Curt Cignetti, he's kind of that old school guy, and yet he brings in a lot of players from James Madison, a lot of his coaches, but he also goes and attacks the transfer portal, brings in this great talent. I think, to me, it just shows that you can combine the two.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think it's a if you do this, then this. I mean, I think it was a bit of a perfect storm going on here, but it's possible.
There's an exception to every rule, right? I think in sports you can say, like, this is the way to go, and you can always find an exception. And Curt Cignetti might be the exception. That said, if you are the athletic director or president or a booster of any major college football program in the country, and I say major like Power 4 conference level that has the finances to, I think, really compete, this has to send a message like, we need to be aggressive. If you're not being aggressive, you are failing immediately, because nobody thought Indiana should have been in this position. Nobody thought they should have been in the position to make the playoff a year ago.
Yeah.
And then 1 year later, they win the national championship. Look at what Texas Tech did last year, right? They pumped a bunch of money into this thing. I don't think it's just money. I think you have to have the right infrastructure, the right coaching staff for what you're trying to do. That's why Cignetti might be the exception. But it has to put everybody on notice that you're a few right decisions away from putting together something that could ultimately be really special. In the old era of college football, we went into every season thinking there are probably about 5 or 6 teams that could realistically win a national championship. And everybody else, it would be a feel-good story if they made a run, but realistically, the Blue Bloods are the only ones that have a real shot. That's not the case anymore, and if you are an Oklahoma State rebounding from what they've done the last 2 seasons, I mean, you have to be over the moon with what is possible now in college football.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. If you're Eric Morris, you see this happen. I mean, he's kind of so far done a little bit like Cignetti and bringing over a lot of his North Texas guys. If you're an Oklahoma State fan, like you said, you are ecstatic about this. You've seen the blueprint laid out that it is possible. Again, doesn't mean that if you do this, then that, but it shows that, to your point again, that you can compete if you do this all right. It's not just the same 5 or 6 teams every year. And
because of the ability to pay players, there's already more parity in college football than there's ever been. The talent is more spread out than it's ever been. And with Indiana winning once again, I think for every program in college football, not just the Alabamas and Georgias and Ohio States, everybody can say, look what we can do. We have access to the 12-team playoff or whatever the next version of the playoff is going to be. We can pay you, and we are just a few steps away from doing exactly what the Blue Bloods have been doing for a century. It's a more level playing field now than it's ever been. College football is a ton of fun, and I think for the Blue Bloods it's probably a little bit frustrating that they're not able to stockpile talent the way they've always been able to. But for the good of the sport, I think it's a lot of fun with the parity around the country. All right, we got to take a timeout. We got to hit some hot sports topics on the other side of the break. It is Smash or Punt next here on the End Zone. Welcome back to the End Zone. It is time for Smash or Punt. I will make a statement. If you agree with it, you smash. If you disagree with it, you punt. We'll see how many we agree on overall. Let's start with the Thunder, since we led the show with Oklahoma City. I heard Chandler Parsons say this a couple days ago. I've asked several people about it. I've had a bunch of different answers. The Thunder could win a championship without Jalen Williams. Smash or punt?
Ooh, that's tough. I think they could go pretty far. I think they could get close, maybe even a finals run. I'm going to say punt, though, because I think they'll get close, but not quite that.
Okay, I'm not as torn as you are. I think it's absolutely a punt.
Okay.
Punt it away. Jalen Williams was critical to the Thunder winning the championship last year. I know that they are better and they have other pieces and Chet's getting better and all that, but his game is built for the postseason.
Yeah.
He defends all 5 positions. He can take the load off of SGA in terms of ball handling. His physicality, I think, fits better in the postseason than it does in the regular season anyway. I don't think they could get it done without Jalen Williams. I would love to be wrong about that because I don't think you want to just say like this one guy is make or break, but he is a pivotal piece to them ultimately winning a championship. So I'm pumped as well. All right. It's not been a good start for both Oklahoma and Oklahoma State basketball since conference play has begun. So I will ask this. Will either OU or OSU basketball make the NCAA tournament?
Okay. Do I do one for both teams? Or
No.
Either or
just one.
counts
Well,
as
either or, yeah.
I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to say smash. I think they've got a lot of work to do. I tend to think Oklahoma State might have the better shot just based on the start to conference play so far. It's going to be tough, but I'm going to be optimistic.
Okay, I'm glad you're the optimist here because I am absolutely punting. It's been a rough start, and I don't see it getting any better. I think, unfortunately, neither one of them will be dancing in March. Speaking of OU and OSU, both of them, from a football standpoint, hit the transfer portal really hard. Both of them retooled what were pretty bad offenses compared to what they are traditionally bringing out there. Oklahoma was the number 79th offense in the country last season. OSU was the number 134th offense in the country last season. Smash or punt, OU and OSU will both be a top 50 scoring offense this season. Smash.
You look at what they did in the portal, the names they bring in, new coaching staff as well. It's hard not to get excited about it. I think both have a really high potential to be some of the best offenses next season.
OSU, I think, is going to put up a bunch of big numbers, especially in the Big 12. And I think even though you're facing SEC defenses at Oklahoma, giving John Mateer more tools around him, especially pass catchers, to join Isaiah Satania, I'm with you. I think it's more likely of the two that OSU is, but I think they're both going to be top 50 scoring offenses next season. Smash on that one. All right, Curt Cignetti just won the national championship. It is the greatest turnaround in sports history.
Oh, yes, smash. Yes.
No hesitation at all.
You go from the losingest program to a national championship winner, which is impressive enough on its own, but the fact that it was in 2 seasons.
Okay, all right. I was curious if we were going to have a debate on this one.
Okay. Now I'm concerned.
I sort of hate the prisoner of the moment stuff when it's like anytime anybody wins, all of a sudden it becomes, this is the greatest thing ever, right? This is the greatest player ever. This is the greatest team ever. I mean, it can be the greatest for that season, but we always kind of take it to like the best thing ever. I don't think it's an overstatement to say this is the greatest turnaround in sports history. Smash all the way. Indiana was a complete afterthought in college football, and now they are the national champions. No one would have ever guessed this was possible, so smash. All right, along with Camryn Johnson, I'm Colby Daniels. The closing argument is next. All right, welcome back one final time. It is time for the closing argument featuring our friend Noble McIntyre, who did such a great job last week, guilty on all charges, that he is back and ready to rock and roll again. How are you?
I'm good. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So this week, we're headed to the NBA. We talked college football last week. I know we're moving into the basketball season, or at least maybe the focus is shifting from football to basketball. A few weeks ago, former Thunder favorite Russell Westbrook, now with the Sacramento Kings, was called Westbrick by an NBA fan. Westbrook had the Westbrick fan ejected from the game per the NBA's conduct policy. So the question this week for your final argument, where should the NBA draw the line on fan conduct? Is this over the line?
No, not there. I love Westbrook. He played here, but I've seen him play basketball, and he's had some bricks in his day. I think as an NBA player being paid millions and millions of dollars, you have to have a little bit thicker skin than that. The line needs to be at racial words, physical contact, things about your family. But if they're talking about your shooting skills or your basketball skills, that's all fair play. So, no, that definitely did not cross the line.
I think threats, talking about somebody's family to me probably goes over that line. Using, derogatory language or, like you said, racist language is crossing the line. But to me, nicknames especially involving like basketball plays, that's fair game.
I mean, are we going to kick fans out if Kevin Durant's here and we call him cream puff? I mean,
that's right. That's right.
So no, that's not the line. It needs to be what you just said, and not simple, little joking comments where it insults him a little bit. That's just part of the game.
All right, there you go. Westbrook is in play here on The Final Argument. For Noble McIntyre, I'm Colby Daniels. We'll be back again next week. Everybody have a great weekend.